He said, let's rock and roll. Okay. Let the party begin. Today on the Muzilog Magazine podcast, we're joined by Lisa London, host of The Lisa London Show, Inside the Quiet Storm. A true love of music and radio, Lisa transitioned from a successful career in financial services to create a program that blends smooth R&B and classic Quiet Storm. Since its launch in 2014, her show has expanded to air 7 days a week on more than 28 stations worldwide, including the UK, Spain, and Belize. With a deep passion for connecting people through music, Lisa brings a unique perspective on the timeless sounds of love, emotion, and energy. Let us welcome Miss Lisa London to the Muzilog Magazine podcast. Lisa, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, Sam. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for that gracious introduction. Thank you so much.
Yes. Shout out to the urban influencer because that's where we met many moons ago.
Exactly.
As aspiring, well, I didn't have a radio station as yet, but the podcast, I had the podcast. And so, I interview a lot of artists, but once in a while, it's good to speak to someone in the industry. And, you've been in the mix for a minute and doing radio longer than me, definitely. So
longer than most. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rethink this thing. Yeah, I've been doing this
longer
now.
than most. Okay,
Well,
see what I'm saying?
I've been doing this now for 11 years. Yeah, 11 years.
Okay. So you have some skin in the game.
Yeah, a little skin. But when you go to college and you pick a major, it sounds wonderful, and you hope that you are going to find a job in your major. I actually went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. Shouts out to the Salukis.
Okay.
And I majored in paralegal studies, and I had big dreams and aspirations. I was going to go to law school and become this great champion of justice. Well, things did not work out that way. So I ended up being a paralegal. Just starting off, and working in Chicago, it's a very political town, of course, and just so many loopholes and strings and things that you got to go to. And so I kind of fell into finance. I landed a job, and it's like, okay, hey, we'll see how this goes. So it really had more to do with, I guess, for me, timing. But then as I just, the longer you stay, the longer you stay. And so it behooves you, when you stay and you have so much experience, okay, this is my niche. This is where you kind of fit in. So I've done financial services compliance, probably for the better part of going on 20 years now. Currently, I am the chief BSA AML officer for a bank here in Illinois. It's called Vermont State Bank. And we are actually launching a cryptocurrency. We're launching a stable coin later this year. Go to it's vermontstatebank.com. It's in Illinois, Vermont, Illinois. It's a small little bank, but we do a lot of big business. So is a AML officer there. So I haven't totally given up on, the corporate side. Got to pay the bills, got to keep the lights on. And radio doesn't actually do that for us anymore. So I'm kind of, juggling both balls in the air. But I've always had a love and affinity for radio ever since I was a little girl. AM radio, FM radio, just different genres. I grew up in Central Illinois. That was not an urban market. So I heard a lot of country growing up. Heard a lot of talk radio growing up. So it wasn't until I went to college and I, got exposed to college radio and, heard, different voices and sights and sounds. And then, of course, if you migrate to a big city, for me, that would be St. Louis, Indianapolis, or Chicago. then you hear all genres of music. So I've always had an affinity for music, always had an affinity for radio. And 14 years ago, I found myself out of a job, and it's like, okay, well, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. So, I went to Illinois Media School that's here in Chicago,
Hmm.
and just started and, just do it. And here I am.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so when you did media studies and you're still in the financial world, do you educate people on the financial aspect?
No,
Like,
no. When the shows that I do on the radio, it's strictly music.
hmm.
Um, I do. I host another show. I host actually three shows. I'm beginning to feel like I have one too many jobs. Um, the show that I do a show Monday through Friday on the Autolus Internet Radio Network, and it's called Up Next with Lisa London. And I mean,
Hmm.
for those that would be familiar, I guess, with terrestrial radio, it's like drive time radio. It's 4 to 7 p.m., 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And so there I play music, talk about current events, talk about, the entertainment industry.
Hmm.
It takes a lot, and there are restrictions if you want to have a radio program that's going to focus in on finances and banking. There are certain things that you can and cannot say. And so
Mm.
just with various restrictions, and plus you kind of have to, you're monitored. So for any content that I would have put together to put through to a financial services show, that has to be pre-approved before it can air. So there's a lot of strings and a lot of loopholes. I
Mm.
know people who have done um, radio broadcast, and usually those are like call-in shows, and people have questions about their 401k or their retirement, or
Hmm.
what are capital gain, basic kind of investment questions. I know it. Um, I'm more comfortable with music. Yeah. So I'd rather talk about the Isley Brothers and Stevie Wonder than 401k and 509 plans and annuities. No, I don't want to do that.
Understood. Understood. So, what said radio to you? I mean, what was the thing that drew you into? Hey, you know what? Go to radio now. And the other part of the question would be: did you start your radio station at that point, or did you just go into the field of media and communications?
No, I started it. I started it. I had thought about it for a while. Um, I mean, 10 years ago seems like a lifetime ago, especially when you're talking technology.
Hmm.
I mean, these were the days of, dial up with AOL.
Hmm.
And no, I just did it. It wasn't, there wasn't a blueprint out there. There were no uh, influencers. There were no podcasters. There were people out there
Mm.
doing, things on the internet, but it's nothing like it is now. Nothing at all. I would say it's much easier for somebody now. I mean, people are, COVID really was a turning point for a lot of people, and it okay, how can we entertain ourselves? Let's turn the phone on, turn the camera on, let's cook, let's sew, let's swim. People want to do anything. People just wanted to be heard. And I think it was just the outreach of trying to have a human connection when,
Hmm.
this disease has told you, no, you have to stay in the house, you have to stay indoors, you have to be confined to these four walls. And part of what my draw to music was, in music and radio, is radio for me has always been theater of the mind. When I used to listen to AM radio, here in Chicago, there is a station, WLS, and they used to have a personality by the name of Larry Lujak. Larry
Hmm.
Lujak was very animated. He was kind of like a Howard Stern before Howard Stern, if you will. Very animated, always had great callers. It was very interactive. And so that portion of radio I liked as well as the music. Um,
Hmm.
so the fact that, this genre can marry the two, um, that just seemed like a perfect thing to do. And no, I didn't have a blueprint. I just sat down and it's like, okay, well, this is what you do it and put it out there. And that's basically what I did. I put it out there. I posted on social media, told my friends, it's like, hey, tune into the show, tune into the show. Slowly but surely, stations started reaching out. And it's, my first question would always be, how did you find me? And, again, you have to put yourself out there, put your, post on Instagram, post on Facebook, several times a week. So that in and of itself was a job to get myself out there.
Wow, wow. I feel a book coming on. I feel you have so much going on. You have a book, you working on something like that?
No,
I see
no,
you smiling. You sure
no,
about that?
no, I am not working on a book. No, not at all. Not at all. That is not my lane. There's that
Mm,
saying, stay in your lane. Yeah, the author is not
mm.
one. Now, if I can do an audio book, oh, I'll talk about this all day long. But yeah, to do a
Okay, okay.
paperback, no.
All right. So you got into radio. What was one of the things that kept you going? I mean, and you said that you spoke about losing a job at one time. So was your choice also lucrative in some way that you can survive when you made
No,
that turn?
no, actually, it was not. And to
Mm,
this day, I think I've only worked at three stations, three other stations aside from the ones that I have.
hmm
I've only worked at three stations where I've actually gotten paid. No, that's why I'm still working in finance because at the time my children were small. So I had
hmm
children to raise, I had bills to pay, student loan debt was not absolved back in the day.
mm,
So I still had things to do. So yeah, and a lot of times people ask me, it's like, well, you don't get paid. You don't get paid because people think, oh, you have 28 stations, you must be making making a lot of money. No, I'm not. I'm really not. And it harkens back to something that I always tell my children, which is find something that you love to do and
hmm
figure out how to get paid to do it. So I'm still on the figuring out how to get paid to do it. I mean, I know now with social media, everything is monetized and, there's advertising and they're looking at, the number of followers you have and things like that. And I haven't really put as much effort into that as I should to get, my show monetized or anything like that. But I do it for the love of the music. And, when I put together the shows, I usually have a theme for the show. And I will craft the music, pull the music around the theme for the show. So if it's, my boyfriend left me or my husband's cheating on me or I found a new love, is this gonna last? There's a song for everything. There literally is a song for everything. And I think
mm,
that's kept me going is just my love of music. And then when I do find out or, figure out that people actually are listening, um, these are the ties that bind. These are the things that bring us closer together. These are the experiences of the human condition that we can all relate to through music. And yeah, there's a song for everything. I promise you, there is a song for everything. If there's a song about cheeseburgers in paradise, I've heard songs about chitlin sandwiches. I've heard songs about, the classic country, my girlfriend left me, shot my dog, you know, family feud kind of thing. I mean, there's a song for everything, everything, everything. So that's really, part of my challenge is to go out and find the music that fits within the genre of Quiet Storm.
Okay, okay. Now, what before social media, what was one of the ways someone would say, "Hey, I tuned in. I'm listening to you. I like your show," that sort of thing.
Email, email. I've had the same
Okay.
email address for these 14 years. It's the Lisa London Show, all one word,
hmm
at gmail.com. And, I would tell my listeners, in the show, if you like what you're hearing, or if you want me to, you have music you want me to play, send me an email. And again, this was before Facebook became popular, before, now you can send people DMs, instant messaging, things of that
Yeah.
nature, texting. I never give out my phone number. I mean, people who know me and they have it and they can use it at their discretion. If I gave it to you, I trust you. But no,
Mhm.
I don't do a show because a lot of times people want to call in and they want to talk during the show. It's not that kind of show just because of the way that the internet is set up. It's a pre-recorded show. So I don't do, and I've never done an artist interview. That's something that I'd like to do eventually, but I've never done an artist interview yet.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's on my bucket list.
okay, okay. So I'm definitely going to look up for that. I'm definitely going to look up for that. So,
Oh, I
what
can
is this?
interview you.
I'm sorry.
I said I can interview you.
Yes, yes.
See,
Whenever you're ready, let me know. I will make myself available.
thank you.
And you heard it here first.
Yes, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Thank you.
Wow. Did you grow up around music? Was music something that was part of your daily growth, maybe from a child coming up?
Well, I'll just say this, and there will be a portion of your audience that will be able to relate to this. I
Mm.
grew up in a black household, and we had one of those stereo consoles that was like a piece of furniture. And when you open it up, it had a radio on one side, it had an 8-track player on the other side, and it had
Ooh.
a turntable in the middle. Okay, so we had 8 tracks and we had 45s and we had 78s, and we had to put the, when it got to be a little older, you had to put the penny on the needle so the record would skip, kind of thing. Oh man, please. We had my brothers and sisters, I'm the youngest of five, so I grew up listening to the music that they listened to.
Mm.
They had albums with album covers with liners, so there was plenty for me to read, in addition to listen to. um 8-track tapes. Oh, I thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. I couldn't figure out when you click the little button and it changes music. It's like I was just sitting there clicking the button. My mother's like, stop it, you know. But it was fascinating to me. And then, of course, there was the radio side, and you go up and
Mm.
down the dial. And again, I did not grow up in an urban environment, so my exposure to radio was really a lot of country and pop music. I
Mhm.
love what they call 70s classic rock or yacht rock. So
Mhm.
Steely Dan, Fleetwood Mac, the Doobie Brothers, all that kind of stuff. That's really what I grew up on, and that's like a whole other thing. I could do a show on that too because that's music that I know. And
Mm.
again, that's why I chose the Quiet Storm. It's just music that I know. My parents, they had the Isleys, the Whispers, the Commodores, Confunction, the Barcades. They had Gladys Knight. They had Patti LaBelle. I mean, and then with the advent of music, I'm just that old now. So you know, synthesizers and 808 machines and vocoders
Mhm.
and all of these things start coming in the mix, and then you could hear the music changing. And in the 80s there was a real electronic sound, and there was the beat machines, and then in the
Mhm.
90s
Mhm.
you had more of it mellowing out, and there was a throwback to the 70s. They were going back and sampling, Al Green, Curtis Mayfield, Donny Hathaway, the sampling. So you hear the music evolve um, over the years, and it's just been my fashion just to listen, just to listen.
Amazing, amazing. Now, I remember listening to Michael Baisden some years ago when he gave a little experience talking about he spent a certain amount of years on radio. He had a number one show in New York and he wasn't even getting paid at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so if money and I'm just asking for for the audience. I think I know the answer, but if money is not uh part of the motivation to keep you doing this, where does the motivation comes from? What do you think that keeping the energy and pushing your idea and your dream in radio, what would that be able to do for you? And like, how does that look?
Well, my mantra for doing the show when I started has always been music is my therapy. music is my therapy, and it truly is my therapy. Like I said, there's a song for everything. So if I'm happy, I know there's a song for that. If I'm sad, I know there's a song for that. If I'm mad, I know there's a song for that. And so a lot of when I started out doing it in the beginning, it really was therapeutic for me.
Hmm.
And, I would tell the audience, you all just happen to be listening. Sometimes I do the show for you all, but sometimes I'm selfish. I have to do the show for me because I'm going through some things, not things, I'm going through some things. And that happens when you get older and life keeps lifing and things
Hmm.
keep happening. And then you start to have a greater appreciation for the lyrics.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
you have a greater appreciation for, even though it's a Houdini song, it's better to have loved than to have lost than to never have loved at all. um you have a greater appreciation for Stevie Wonder lyrics as the earth
Mm.
does seem to be revolving. You just have a greater appreciation. The longer you live, the more it's therapeutic. It's just therapeutic. And yeah, that's been my motivation. So don't get me wrong, money's always been in the back of my mind, because I'm like, okay, do it, the money will come. It's kind of like that field of dreams mentality. If you build it, they will come. If you do it,
Hmm.
the money will come. And I'm doing it not from a place of money, just from a place of love, being able to connect with people, and therapy. Sometimes by the end of a show, I will have figured a problem out, or I will have figured out a new way to look at something, or have a different perspective on something.
Hmm.
Or, there are those times that, I use the show to my own benefit, that I'm sending subliminal messages to certain people who have done certain things. And I'm trying to let them know, okay, yeah, you need to listen to this and listen to the music, listen to the words really good, because I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. So it's kind of like it gives me a way to communicate with people without being too personal, and not,
Mm.
you know, cutting them all up, because you don't want to put your business out on the street and, you know, tell who did what to who and why. Um, but yeah, if you listen to a song, you know who you are, you know who I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And then
Oh,
usually a nice little phone call or email afterwards. It's like, so what did you mean when you played that song? Well, what does the song say? Mhm. What does the song?
ah.
Let's examine this, shall we?
Well, the good thing is that the person that you are messaging, they tuned in.
Yes, that's the good thing, that they see. There you go. And that's all you really want, is that they tune in.
We spoke a little bit about the effects of COVID. Um, Things started changing. You coming from the world of radio, there was a certain order of things. There were certain, you know, guidelines.
Mhm.
Now we're in the world of podcasting. How do you feel about the whole podcast industry versus the radio industry?
I think podcasting is a good thing. I mean, to a certain extent. At the end of the day, people just want to be heard.
Mhm.
And technology is such that, at any given hour of any given day, there is someone in the world talking, and there's someone in the world listening. Um, whether it be live stream or whether it be podcasting, at the end of the day, I think that internet radio and podcasting has just given us another medium to be connected, as opposed to regular terrestrial radio, at least here in the United States. Once with the introduction of certain changes within the FCC that allowed for the creation of a iHeartMedia, the conglomerates, if you will. I think it's kind of hand tied a lot of markets, because now you have a cookie cutter format that you want to put in all of these markets, and sometimes it doesn't fit, and
Mm.
you've lost uh, personality driven radio. I mean, every just like every area of the country has their own dialect, every area of the country, they have, there's different personalities. There's a Midwest
Mm-hmm.
personality, there's a West Coast personality, there's an East Coast personality. Well, with corporate radio coming in and, putting everybody in a cookie cutter mold, you've lost that human touch between a radio personality and their audience. Radio personalities back in the day, they were celebrities too,
Mm-hmm.
because they were our touch to entertainment, to news, to politics. They were our touch. But now, because of social media, um, you can find news yourself anywhere, anytime. You don't necessarily need somebody to present it to you. You don't need a presenter. You don't need a host. Um, I think podcasting is good again, just because people have so many stories to share. People have so many experiences that, and that's part of, again, the human condition. If I know I'm going through something and I can get through it, my hope is that I'm giving you
Mm-hmm.
some kind of strength or resilience that you can get to it through, or just to be able to commiserate, share common experiences. How is this when it worked for you? Oh, it's like, how is this when it worked for you? And it just brings people together. I like that about that, but I have a fear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there will be at some point regulation over the internet. And that's where it's going to get dangerous, is because right now people can say what they want, they can do what they want, they can, comport themselves according, however they want, especially here in America, that we have freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that that is in jeopardy. I really do. I think that's it. That's in jeopardy, and they will find a way. Technology, we're slaves to technology to a certain extent, and I think that they will find a way to shut it down, and that will be a detriment. I think, because so many people have now realized, hey, I can make money doing this. And they
Mm-hmm.
have, I to this day, it amazes me that the mukbang lady is now a millionaire. You're on camera, you're eating shrimp and lobster and chicken, but I'm like, there are people starving in the world and you're making money eating food. What does that say? It's just, what does that say?
Yeah.
About humans. Everybody just wants to be seen. Everybody just wants to be heard. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I would hope that um, the freedom remains free. Again, it's my fear that at some point they will introduce regulation, and it's really going to have an adverse effect on social media as we know it, because social media won't be so social. You see, the uproar that there was when they tried to shut TikTok down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine if they,
Mm-hmm.
get a hold of Facebook or, Instagram or any other platform and shut it down. Or if they, find a way to compromise what we know as the World Wide Web, such that it's not worldwide anymore. It's going to become segmented. Um, the northern hemisphere from the southern hemisphere, from, I can see that. And as soon as they figure out how to restrict airspace such that you cannot do that,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think then you'll probably see restrictions as far as content. Meaning, I right now we can see content from all over the world. I think it will probably be coming
Okay.
down the pipe that we won't be able to see content from China or the UK or from South America. We won't be able to share content anymore unless you pay for it.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll have to keep our eye on the pulse there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. So what advice, based on your experience, what advice would you give to someone up and coming that's interested in radio, they're interested in communications, even podcasting or doing a web series, someone like yourself, what words of wisdom to
Not
offer?
necessarily. I don't know if it's wisdom. I don't know if I'm old enough to give wisdom yet. I'm still, on one side of 60. So I don't know if it's quite wisdom just yet. But Um, what I would say, I mean, as with radio, as with anything else, um, find something that you're passionate about. Find something that you like to do. Then it's not a job. It's a labor of love. It's not a job. It's not like you're punching in and hitting a clock or things like that. With regard to the internet, it's growing, it's changing, it's evolving every day. It it's in your best interest if you're going to do a podcast. Invest in yourself. Invest in the equipment that you need.
Mm,
Invest the time. Make sure that you have the time to do it. um, make the investment. If you're going to go in, go all in. If you don't have it to do that way, and you just, maybe it's just a hobby, or maybe it's just, you just want to get on YouTube and play some music or talk about some music. That's the beauty of it right now, is that we in America have freedom of speech, and we're able to do that. And if you want to do it, do it. Just because nobody told me what to do, or I
mm,
didn't have to ask permission. I just decided I wanted to do it and just do it. And again, it's kind of the mentality of, if you build it, they will come. If you can conceptualize it in your mind, you can make it happen in reality. And there are enough people out here now. You can learn anything on YouTube. I learned how to change my oil, change the light bulbs in my headlights. I learned how to change the filters in my house for the heating and air conditioning. You can learn anything on the internet these days. Learn as much as you can about your craft, because there's somebody out there that's done it.
mhm.
Um, and the experience is out there, so you just have to go find the right teachers. Yeah, and just keep learning. Just keep learning, because this thing, the internet, like I said, when I started, 10, 11 years ago, we were using AOL dial-up. Can you imagine trying to do a podcast through the AOL dial-up system? That would be horrific. We
Well,
didn't have DMs. We had chat rooms. Oh my
mhm.
gosh.
I
Um,
remember. I remember.
oh, those were insane. We had chat rooms. Even with phones, you had party lines. Some people may not ever know what a party line is, but
I know.
see, we're just that old. See, we're just that old. You know what these things are. My kids have no clue, and they will never have a clue. So technology is evolving. So in even 15 years, the medium over which we're speaking now may become obsolete. They may find a different way to uh, allow us to interact, virtually.
Mhm,
So just stay on top of technology, and as long as you're having fun, as long as it's enjoyable for you, when it starts to feel tedious, when it starts to feel like work, when it's
mhm,
no longer fun, um, then it's not going to be fun. But as long as you're excited about doing it, and that you can find something new to learn about it every day, keep it fresh and keep it new. Yeah, because once it becomes a job, it's a job, and that's not, unless you want it to be a job.
mhm,
And there are plenty of people out there who do, this is their job, this is what they do. Shouts out to all of the people uh, who went into IT and tech back in the 80s.
mhm,
um,
mhm.
they're making the mint now, but who knew?
Yeah, that's a coveted industry right now.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, very coveted. Wow, wow. So, anything in the future for you in terms of either radio, or maybe there's something else that's on the verge in the future coming? What might that be?
Well, I've got a few things going on in radio. So, again, I've been doing the Quiet Storm show now for 11 years.
Hmm.
2 years ago, I started with a company that's called Autolus. They're the Autolus Internet Radio Network, and there are a couple of radio conglomerates out there. And basically, what it is under the Autolus umbrella, you have about, I think about 15 or 16 stations, ranging from R&B, country, classical, pop, rock, talk, And there are all these different stations. So when you log into autolist.com, you
Hmm.
can choose whatever station it is that you want to listen to, and the music is there. I've been doing that for 2 years. I do a show Monday through Friday from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern. My station is called The Vibe, VYBE. Then recently, and it's just been as recent as 3 weeks ago, I
Okay.
started a new show, and it's called Mic Check 1 2, and it's a celebration of old school hip hop and R&B. And
Okay.
as I define old school hip hop and R&B, it's 70s, 80s, and 90s hip hop and R&B. You won't find anything beyond 2000. So if it's Drake or Cardi B that you're looking for, that's not going to be, because I don't understand what they're saying. That's basically it. That's all. I don't get it. I don't get it. I come from an era, we grew up on Sesame Street, things that rhymed and things that go together. So if you listen to rap and R and hip hop from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it rhymed and it went together. So that's what I know. I stay in my lane. I stick to what I know. So, all the way from, the beginnings of Cool Herc and Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mill, I would say all the way up and through. Okay, there is some Biggie, there is some Tupac, there is some Jay
Hmm.
Z because they did make the cutoff, but that's not really. It. And the thing that I like about this show is that the more things change, the more they say the same. Meaning, in the 70s, they had a message. The 80s, they had a message. The 90s, they had a message. Even though the times have changed, the message really basically is the same. um it's the human condition. It's people being treated fairly, people having respect for one another, people loving one another. In the 70s and 80s, people, rapped and talked about being in love, what it was, the feeling of being in love, falling in love, finding love, losing love. Nowadays, these kids, they don't talk about love. They don't talk about love as an emotion. They talk about love as an action. What I'm gonna do to you, where I'm gonna do it to you, where I'm gonna stick it, where I'm gonna move. We don't need to hear all of that. We don't need to hear all of that. That's, and again, that harkens back to theater, radio being a theater of the mind.
Hmm.
Let me listen to the music. Let me think about some things. Then, in the 80s, you had what would be considered conscious rap. Um, People trying to educate and enlighten and, put you on a higher plane of existence. Think about something other than, basketball, or, think about your future. And it kind of put different things in your mind, but there was a message. And
Hmm. Hmm.
that's what I love about it, because every time I do the show, it just makes me so happy, because you hear the music, you hear the lyrics, you hear the beat, and it takes you right back. If you didn't grow up in 70s and 80s and 90s, you missed it. I'm sorry. I can't help you, but I can only play the music and hope that you can, pick it up through osmosis or something. But those were special times. Those are really special times. It was like in music, it was like a coming of age
Hmm. Hmm.
for music. Um, from listening to, simple things to listening to more complex beats, more complex arrangements, more complex lyrics, collaborations, things of that music. The music just evolved. And so I think growing up with the music, there's what are we, Gen Xers? Yeah, we have a different appreciation for that. And part of the reason, too, is because I think Gen Xers kind of got lost in the shuffle. Um, they know we're out there, but, no one's catering to us as a demographic. So I thought that was
Okay.
important to choose that era of music to
Hmm.
cater to Gen X as a demographic.
And that's my demographic too.
Yeah, see, you were there. You were there, you know.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Lisa, this has been amazing. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that I didn't get to ask you? Anything you want to mention to the audience?
Nope. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. I'm not going to come over here and tell all the secrets, man. No, there is nothing that I mean. I have enjoyed my time with you. As you know, you are a phenomenal host, and it's just been my
Oh,
honor to
thank you.
be on Music Log. Again, having known you before this was actually a thing, before you had incepted it, and you told us about it, and to
Hmm.
actually see it come to fruition, and that you're doing so well with it, that is just wonderful. And it is. It's a sight to behold. So I look forward to what's next on your horizon, the things that you'll have doing. Just because I can remember a time that this was a an idea for you, and you
Hmm.
spoke it
Hmm.
into reality and you made it happen. So I guess that would be the takeaway: is that if you can conceptualize something and you can dream about it, you can achieve
Hmm.
it. You can do it. You can make it happen. Um, and just make it happen. I mean, it's scary, yeah, and it takes a leap of faith, yes. Um, but the risk versus the reward, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And I'm always, curious to see, new artists coming out.
Hmm.
That probably will be one of my next ventures because everybody sends me music. It's not
Okay.
all the format of Quiet Storm. It's not all format of hip hop. Everybody sends me music. People just want to be heard. That's it. That's all. And hopefully, you know, maybe one day there will be a technology where we can just think about the
And
song and it will
it will
manifest.
play.
Yeah.
You're in the future. You're in the matrix, I see.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
But thank you for the good word. Yes, it's a growth here, and you seeing it happening in real time. So I'm happy you're not letting history pass you by.
Oh no, 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 never that. I want to leave my little mark. Want
Yes,
to leave my
yes,
little
yes.
impression, and hopefully somebody will take it and run with it. And yeah, and I credit myself over these years. I always tell people now,
Hmm.
as you listen to the Quiet Storm, it may convince you to partake in certain activities, and so I'm just here to help facilitate the process. So, as you would uh, have children as a result of this, you can name them after me. That's fine. That's fine. But like to think that I help to usher in some life somewhere. Uh, you know,
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Well, Lisa, thank you so much.
thank
We definitely would, well, you know what? When you start interviewing artists, I'll be in your first
Oh
batch.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just let
You're
me
in the
know,
first
and
wave. No
yes,
doubt.
yes,
You are in the first wave. We have to
yes.
get Sam Archer on because this legendary. We have to, there's you and then there's everybody else. So you'll set the bar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right, well, okay. I receive it. I receive it. Hallelujah. All right. Take care.
Thank you so
Blessings.
much.